All right, let's dive into a comeback story that, honestly, I don't think many people saw coming. We're talking about Cheetah Mobile. They just dropped some earnings numbers that really make you sit up and pay attention. And it all starts with this number.
So, 6. What is that? The number of new products they launched? New countries they've expanded to? Nope, it's actually way more important than that. 6 years. That's how long it took Cheetah Mobile to post its first full-year non-GAAP operating profit. I mean, in the tech world, 6 years is basically a lifetime, especially to be losing money. But they finally did it. They're back in the black. So the big question is, what does this comeback actually look like on paper?
Okay, let's get right into the hard numbers, because this is where the story gets really interesting. Look, after years of, struggling, the company has pulled off a major financial recovery. And we're not talking about a small bump here. This looks like a genuine fundamental shift.
And here are the highlights. Get this, total revenue jumped almost 48%, hitting over a billion RMB. But the real headline, the one that matters most. For the first time in 6 years, they actually made a profit on a non-GAAP basis. We're talking 14 million RMB for the whole year and an even stronger 15 million just in Q4. And all this while they're sitting on a very comfortable cushion of $215 million in cash.
So how in the world did they pull this off after so many years of losses, right? That's the real question. And let me tell you, this was no accident. It wasn't a one-off lucky quarter. This comeback is the result of a really deliberate long-term strategy that's finally starting to pay off.
The way management talks about it is pretty cool. They call it their dual engine plan. It's a classic playbook, really. You have one part of the business that's stable and makes money, and you use that cash to fund the exciting, high-growth stuff that could be the future of the company. Let's break down those two engines.
So on one side, you've got the cash cow. This is their good old internet business. It's stable, it's profitable, it just keeps churning out cash. And on the other side, you've got the growth engine. This is where all the exciting stuff is happening. AI, robotics, you name it. The idea is brilliant in its simplicity, right? The cash cow pays the bills and funds the race car.
And this is where it gets really powerful. The CEO has a great term for the internet business. He calls it the financial backbone. And you can see why. Just look at that number. They're making about 460,000 RMB in profit every single working day. That's an incredible, steady stream of cash. And that's the money that let them invest in these new, risky ventures without having to bet the entire farm.
Okay, so we know where the money's coming from. Now, where is it going? Well, this is where the story pivots. The most exciting part of their growth right now isn't just code and software, it's actual physical hardware. Or, as they like to call them, physical coworkers.
Right, so let's talk about robots, because this isn't some side hustle or a little R&D project anymore. Robotics is becoming a huge driver for them, and the growth, well, it's been absolutely explosive.
I mean, just look at these numbers. Q4 robotics revenue hit 60 million RMB. That is a 94% increase from the year before. 94%! When you see year-over-year growth that's nearly doubling, you have to pay attention. Something is clearly working here.
And we're not talking about prototypes in a lab. These are real products out in the world. They're voice robots. You'll find them working reception, giving tours, helping out in retail. The robotic arms are being used by R&D teams overseas. And what's next is really interesting. A new smart wheelchair aimed at Western Europe and North America, shipping pretty soon. It's all about practical, real-world applications. And this quote from the CEO, Fu Sheng, just nails their entire philosophy. He's basically saying, forget the sci-fi stuff. They're not trying to build a robot that looks like a person. They're trying to build a robot that works, one that actually delivers value every single day and is easy to roll out on a massive scale. It's that practical, down-to-earth approach that's making them win.
Okay, so that's the hardware side. Now let's switch gears to the other half of that growth engine, AI. And the AI space is just so crowded and full of hype right now. But Cheetah Mobile is taking a really specific, interesting angle. They're focused on creating what they call digital coworkers.
And here's the key difference. They're not just making another chatbot you can talk to. Their platform, which is called EasyClaw, is all about building AI agents. These are AIs that can actually do things. They can handle complex digital tasks all by themselves, automating a whole workflow. It's a huge shift from thinking of AI as just a tool to thinking of it as part of your workforce.
And this is their secret sauce, right here. They're not trying to go head-to-head with the huge companies building these massive foundational AI models. That's a losing battle. Instead, they're playing smarter.
They're focused on building the practical systems that sit on top of those models, the stuff that makes AI actually useful and cost-effective in the real world. That's where they think the real money and advantage is.
So, you can see this strategy taking shape, and the early results are definitely promising. But let's be real, this comeback story is far from over. It's important to look at both sides of the coin here, the promise and the potential peril. So on the plus side, you've got this amazing momentum in robotics and cool new products like the smart wheelchair on the horizon. But on the flip side, we have to remember they still reported an overall GAAP operating loss. They also haven't given any specific financial guidance for next year, which always makes investors a little nervous. And of course, their AI strategy depends a lot on other companies, and there's always a ton of risk when you're trying to execute at this level.
So when you boil it all down, Cheetah Mobile's entire comeback story is built on a single, powerful bet. They're betting that in the long run, the most useful technology wins, not just the flashiest. By focusing on creating these practical coworkers, both robots and AI agents, they're zigging while everyone else zags. And it leaves us with a really interesting question. In a tech world obsessed with hype, is a simple, disciplined focus on utility going to be enough to write their next chapter?